Filomena Friday.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast, and hundreds of visual dad jokes. I was just looking through my picture deck. How are you this morning, by the way? Bem-aja! I was told last night on the, Pete advises us that bem-aja is a great greeting, particularly among older people in central Portugal. Well, there's another part to that, which is Airo Viva, I believe. And we can check that with Filomena, because, of course, it is
Filomena Friday.
Filomena Friday. Now, what was it? Airo... Oh, I had it somewhere here. Oh, yeah, Ora Viva. Ora Viva. Go into a cafe today and say, Ora Viva, and bem-aja, and see what happens. It's a very formal greeting, and it will amuse and endear you, I believe, unless the Portuguese Dream Team panelists last night were just winding me up and setting me up for a bit of fun in a Portuguese cafe today. In fact, Portuguese lunch today, a very fine dining experience awaits me with Savika Anna, meeting up with Savika Anna for lunch today over there. Are you going to that as well? Are you in the area for lunch with Savika Anna Caramujo over there in Gairas near Obidos? I am looking forward to that. It's the weekend, baby! And I know it's a bit different for many of us. It's not how it used to be when we all used to work in corporate, which I didn't actually. But definitely, I'm brainwashed with this sense of the week versus the weekend, a habit that it would appear James Holly has grown out of. But still, for me, when it comes to the end of a Thursday evening, when I've worked, I really enjoy it. And it is fairly demanding. You're managing a webinar situation, 2 back-to-back with Expats Portugal on a Thursday night. Great session last night with Carolina and Marianne and Diana from EI talking about the D7 visa, and then the Dream Team session where we checked in with quite a lot of nice little Portuguese vocabulary in the form of greetings. A great evening. And then when that's done and in the can, as it were, that feels to me like the weekend. That's a weekend for me. A Thursday evening, maybe a cold beer at around 10:30. Maybe have something to eat really late. Walk the dogs, and I feel every Friday's a Feel Good Friday for me. Doing the Good Morning Portugal show with you, and then especially Feel Good Friday this morning because it is
Filomena Friday.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Filomena. So, of course, get those Portuguese language and culture questions in. Let's get them to Filomena. We had a few of those over on learnaboutportugal.com. And, of course, that's where you go. If you're a GMP VIP, if you support the show and you're one of the GMP VIPs, go over to your special area on learnaboutportugal.com for the link for 10 o'clock. It is a hangout day today. Filomena might join us if she's not teaching somebody at 10. And we will have our second official GMP VIP hangout at 10 o'clock this morning. So you'll find your link for that in your special area over at learnaboutportugal.com, where you can learn something new about Portugal every single day of the week. And we'll discover. We'll actually have to ask Filomena about this morning. She gifted me this both of these things. And the quiz question of the day yesterday is, what is that device there in gunmetal grey? What's that for? That was yesterday's learnaboutportugal.com quiz. And we've got a corker for you today. I'll very quickly, actually, let you know what that is. But we'll return to it probably in the company of Filomena. and Sarah, who joins us today. Sarah David from Spartan Effects. I think there was a bit of volatility with the pound and the euro. I saw flashing up on us one screen or other yesterday. And we'll find out more about that with her, what's going on in the global markets. And of course, she'll be brushing up her Portuguese with Filomena. Because Sarah has an ongoing project. We're doing our best to teach her some Portuguese. Who better to help her in a professional and expert way than Filomena? So we'll see Sarah between 9 and 10. And before that, at 8:45, horrible fires in the south. I will play you a video in just a moment of some of the devastation that you may or may not be aware of. And an old friend of the show, Jason Horton, will be popping in at 8:45 to talk about his emergency fund, which has already raised 17.5 grand over that, 17,611 to be exact, of a target of 100,000. 240 people have donated. And he had a very interesting phrase. Was it people who've lost the most and have the least? That really kind of sums it up, doesn't it, with what can happen in the devastation of a wildfire. And we have that ongoing in the country at the moment. So Jason here at 8:45 to talk about that. Now, I was going to do something else just then, but I forget where I was going with that. Thursday is the new Wednesday. Yes! Ha! Thank you, T-Duck. Ha! I'm so lost as to which day of the week it is. I thought Wednesday was Thursday. He's no idea. My calendar measure is down to GMP days and not GMP days. That's great. And that's Jason Horton, not Jason Bourne this morning. Although he's quite an adventurous fella, actually. I don't think you would mind being compared to Jason Bourne. Jason Horton. Did I not enunciate that correctly? How's everyone doing? How's this all sounding and looking? Mrs. M also joining us this morning on a Feel Good Friday, as we like to do. Oh, and I can see a cable dangling in the camera view there. Sorry about that. That's deeply unprofessional. So sorry. But it's real. It's the organic green screen, and today it's got a little bit of a cable dangling there, which is the grow light, actually. When we went to the grow shop, is that what they're called? To buy the special bright lights to grow our tomatoes. Yes, really. Tomatoes and cucumbers and things. The guy in the shop said, I don't care what you're buying it for. It doesn't matter. We don't judge. But it's found a new purpose. It is the light source for our intensely green screen that you can see behind me there, which seems to be working. And that's what the cable is leading to. In case you're wondering, you probably weren't. We have a Quem Sabia today. It's about the Portuguese tour. Filomena sent a lovely bit of footage, actually, of the bikes hurtling through Lousã, where we'll be going. A lot of interest in the trip. And that's why this morning's show is called Get the Gist. You see, Gist, get the gist. We will be going and getting a good look at the Gist villages. I need to actually bring that image onto the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. It's a cheeky one, actually, because it's not. Oh, I can't find it now. It's not. It features a bit of Gist action in the background, and a ceramic penis as well, because we'll be being picked up in Caldas. Those ceramics in Caldas, I was caused to look into that because that's where the pickup point will be. So on the slide, if you can see that at the moment, you'll see one of those fabulous ceramic phalli. Bit of schist action, Filomena in the foreground, and of course a bottle of Beirão, Licor Beirão, because we're going to the Licor Beirão distillery, Nectar Nursery, as T-Duck put it yesterday as well. Looking forward to that. October the 7th. I've got not a Facebook group. There probably will be a Facebook group. Oh, I see, T-Duck. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, we've got, and a video from Jean. Look at that. Dolphins! Wednesday morning dolphin watching cruise. Fantastic. I'm going to have to download that and try and squeeze that in today. We've also got events from the Barrada from Andy. So lots this morning. That water looks beautiful there, Jean. One of your videos has come out in portrait rather than landscape. Oh, that's a 2-seconder. Anyway, I'm not sure we need to worry too much about that one. We've got nearly half a minute of you dolphin watching, which is rather excellent. And you distracted me completely. I can't remember why I was going into my messages now to see what was there. Lovely film of dolphins. Cheers, Andy. By Rondre, for your events as well, which we will have a look at towards the end of the show. Maybe I'll remember why I went in there. Maybe I won't. Was it to do? Oh, it was to do with Beirão, wasn't it? And ceramic phalli and the schist villages. It was, of course, to get you the link for the trip to the schist villages with Filomena P Okay, so I remembered now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm cutting and pasting or copying first. Invite to group via link. There we go. That's what I need. Copy link. That's going into the chat now. If you want to join us or if you're interested in coming along, that's I'll just put Schist for ease of so it doesn't take up the whole show. And I'll just put Schist and give you the link to the WhatsApp group. Here it is going into the chat right now. There you go. I worked it out. Not GMP days are what Carl refers to as the weekend. Yes, James. Perfect. Well done, mate. So there you go. There's the link for the Schist action on the 7th of October. It's a Saturday. And I foolishly, sex on the brain, I put Sexta instead of Sábado. It is a Sábado, of course, the 7th, 7 October, Saturday, the 7th October, when we'll be getting on the Charabanc in Caldas and heading towards the Schist villages. Pete's apparently got the Schists this morning. Something you ate? Was it that chameleon? Did you eat a bad chameleon yesterday? I wonder. Is Peter here this morning? Can't see him just yet. Coach Turner's in as well. Let's in anticipation of Jason coming along, let's get a crack in with a few things here this morning. Bem-vindo a sexta-feira. Very good, Coach Turner. Well, we've made it to the end of the week, so we should celebrate. There may be wine taken this evening. Well done, mate. God's squad tip of the day. Then a simple exercise to finish off the week. Lie on your side with your legs out straight. Lift the upper leg as far as you can, then down again. It's a bit of a scissor sister move, that, isn't it? Repeat a few times. Obviously, do the same on the other side. This again works the hip area, but it is fairly gentle if you're feeling a little tender. Why would you be feeling a little tender in the hip area? You don't have to answer that. Bom dia a todos. Feliz sexta. Como estão? Tudo bem. Thank you, James, for that. I wonder what name he's going to have next week. We'll see him on Monday, of course, for a bit of mindful migration action. Let's get his dad jokes out of the way, shall we, this morning? Dad joke warning. You have been warned. Don't join dangerous cults. Practice safe sex. I have a feeling he might have written that himself this morning. And the visual dad joke, my picture deck here of the images I share is absolutely littered with these Trekkie dad jokes. The population of the planet. In fact, before I read this, he dared me, and that's a really good way to get me to read something out. Dare you, he said earlier. What else did he say this morning? This came in just after 8. Just try to say this right the first time round. I dare you. Okay, so let's go. The population of the planet below was all but wiped out by ticks that lived in the mouths of alpacas. This is already tortuous, I can tell. So you're saying the survivors live in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Okay, thank you. Oh, I say thank you. All right, keep those coming in. And we'll speak to Jason in just a moment, who's started a fundraiser on GoFundMe for people who've been caught by the devastation in the south. We'll have a look at a video first, and then we'll talk to Jason about his experience of what's going on there in the south of the country at the moment. So here's the video. Let's take a look at this and see what's going on.
Passaram 2 aviões, conseguiram apagar bocadinho, mas que ele continua e já tinha saltado para o lado, para o topo do nosso terreno, onde está o...
Okay, Jason joins me now. Good morning to you, Jason.
Hi, Carl.
It's been a while since we've spoken, and not for the best of reasons this morning. Absolutely hideous to see that. There's no other word for it. And you've been caught up in this. You're part of Portugal. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Good to be here, Carl. Been a while. So yeah, we're Well, I'm actually up in Zambia de Mar, which is just near Sao Titonio, which was like the north end of where the fires were.
Uh-huh.
And so Sao Titonio is kind of a big farming town, and then it goes down to Odisseis, which is a really lovely town on the sort of Alentejo Algarve border, and that was like the south part of the fires. They did continue a bit further south than that, heading towards Algezur, but that was the main area where it was affected, and a bunch of valleys in between Odisseis and Sao Titonio. I'm in Zambia de Mar, which is next to the ocean, and we didn't get. We were very close. We were about 6K from the fires, but we were basically protected from the fires by. We've got a lot of open farmland between us and where the fires were happening. So it was close, but we weren't evacuated. But another village just down the road, Brejão, for example, a few k's down the road, was evacuated. So we were very close. We had ash dropping on our land, and these, it felt close and enough to get my family evacuated, but I stayed on the land.
Wow. I mean, that must just be awful to be in that situation, not knowing whether to stay or go. I guess sometimes you don't get a choice. You just get evacuated by the emergency services, who clearly did an amazing job. I mean, they are incredible,
They
aren't
did.
they? You see this unfolding on Fogos.pt. Odisseis, I think, is probably the key word, isn't it? That's what the fire was generally known as, I think, in the media and as it was reported. I'm so
It actually
glad.
broke out right next to Odisseis. So
Okay.
on Saturday evening it started, and for us it was. We actually happened to be driving from our home to Algezur, which is in the Algarve south, on
Yes.
Saturday evening, and so we were driving to Algezur in the evening when, just as we reached Algezur, we started seeing all these emergency vehicles passing us on the road, and we were like, oh, looks like there's a fire.
Yeah.
We didn't know, and then late that evening it started to filter back to us that there was a big fire happening in Odisseis. It started just next to the main road in the woods, inland from there, and by that evening we weren't actually able to drive back home because they closed the road off, because that whole area was well underway by then. So even that first night we had to find shelter with some friends who were based in Algezur. So yeah,
Wow.
it all happened very quickly,
Yeah.
and I don't think anyone was really expecting it. So the fact that nobody died is amazing. The response from firefighters was amazing, and everyone in the community's got a lot of respect for the bomberos.
Absolutely, and it's important that people do what they can to support them. Bottled water, I believe, protein bars, these are sort of things that help them in the heat of the moment, literally, to keep them going and keep them supported. And of course, any other fundraising that goes on. Your fundraising is slightly different, I think, and you put it quite beautifully, poignantly. It's, with a sort of hint of tragedy, really, of course, which it is, for the people, I think, who have been affected the most, or what was the phrase you used, that have lost the most and have the least now as a result of the fire?
I'm not sure exactly how I put it, but I mean, I just had something along the lines of, and I think Karl Marx probably said it a long time before I did, to those who need the most from those who have the most, in a way, I suppose, was the sentiment.
Yes.
To each according to their means. No, to each according to their needs, from each according to their means, is what Karl Marx said. And I've often thought that that's a beautiful way of putting it, and how the world should work. But yeah, our focus is, we just said, there's a lot of people who've been badly affected, and obviously the people who've been affected the most, who've lost the most, we'll try to help them as much as possible. There's also going to be a lot of people in our community who've lost something, and we'd like to help them too. It all depends on how well the fundraiser goes.
Well, it's going fairly well so far, isn't it? You've raised €17,600 of a target of 100,000, and that's the difficulty always here, isn't it? Is when the kind of media spotlight and people's lives have moved on, those who've been left with their land and homes devastated still have to carry on, don't they, and sort of pick up the pieces. So I'm guessing that's what this is about, to give them some resources and get them back on track. And
That's
this
right.
is the fundraiser that you've got here. We've seen the video. And as you say, between August the 5th and August the 8th, 2023, wildfires ripped through rural communities based around Odissesh and São Teotonio, causing massive damage to homes, rural tourism projects and farms. So a lot of devastation on people's daily lives there. Over 1,400 people were evacuated from their homes. National Civil Protection Service said about 1,000 firefighters, 320 vehicles and 9 aircraft were deployed. Approximately 10,000 hectares, that's 25,000 acres, were scorched. So that gives you a sense of the scale there. The mission, the relief fund, will help those who've been directly impacted by the wildfires. Our primary focus is to assist those who have lost the most and have the least. There's that phrase there. And direct aid for uninsured fire victims, because of course there will always be those people who've been caught out like that. Your contribution will directly provide shelter, food, clothing, and essential supplies for those who have lost everything. And there are those people, are they, who've lost everything there, Jason?
Oh yeah, there are, and that's the tragedy. I'm on a few WhatsApp groups where sort of people in the community are all communicating and stuff. So every day we're sort of seeing and hearing from people who have, they are evacuated and then they went back a few days ago, or they're still heading back now. They're still trying to get back sometimes, and they've lost everything. So they're on pieces of land. Sometimes it's their own land and property, and sometimes it's just where they were living. And so in some cases it's people whose homes have been destroyed. In other cases, it's people who are living there, like in more of a community situation, maybe with something like a caravan or a trailer, and they've seen those come back, and that's been razed to the ground. So they're, literally homeless, nothing left. There's one family that we're friends with they've been here 14 years. They have a legal house, and since they've been here, they've been slowly building up their own rural tourism business, building beautiful wooden cabins, like the most beautiful wooden cabins for guests to come and stay in. And they've raised their children here, and they've got beautiful permaculture gardens and animals and all of this. And they've just come back, and it's all gone. It's like,
it's shocking.
It's brutal.
Right. And of course, those who have been insured, it's not like they're going to be helped out immediately. These processes take a long time, don't they, to get everything back together again. And
exactly.
Criticism as well, hasn't there? That the government response hasn't been brilliant. We're in August, aren't we? Where not a lot happens in Portugal anyway, and some might say the government haven't responded very quickly anyway with this. So it's really important, isn't it, that the help comes in? It's not a political bash. It just seems to be the nature of things. The help that's needed is, if it's coming from the big institutions, won't come immediately, and you're doing a real sort of grassroots move here and making sure people get supported, I think, as quickly as possible. Is that the gist of it?
Exactly. These things take time to go through the official channels, and there's, we're seeing in the groups that local sort of people from the cameras and so on are asking questions and starting to collect. They're starting to collect information. They want to hear from people who've got official houses with habitation license and stuff, and let us know what's been if you've lost your house and so on, because this is the beginning of the claims process.
Mm-hmm.
But however, I mean, we're already starting to see, like, in many cases, it's people. Let's say the houses were saved because the bomberos were very good. They were coming in, they were spraying people, dropping water on houses and stuff to protect homes, and many homes were saved because of this, which is fantastic. But at the same time, it's not just that. Like, if you're living up in the hills here, you've got a ton of land, you've got solar systems, you've got outbuildings, you've got farm equipment, you've got all this stuff, and this stuff gets razed to the ground as well, even if your house was saved. So it's complicated, and that stuff's going to take time. And then, of course, there's all the people who were living there who were living without official buildings, who built cabins or were living in caravans. They're not going to have any insurance. They're not going to be entitled to any kind of handout. So yeah, we definitely want to be quick to help people who are they're displaced now, and they're in a pretty desperate situation. And the community's coming together a lot already. Good. There's ODX is a bar in Odissesh, and there's a drop-off centre there, for example, so people can drop off food and clothing and tools, whatever people are saying. Hey, does anybody have a mountain bike? My bike's got destroyed, blah blah blah. So we're seeing the community. That's always the first response, isn't it? And we're trying to be a first response too, because this is when people are really need help, and they also need help with helping hands. It's like people are saying, can someone come back to my place and help, literally help me start cleaning up the mess. But on that front, there's also a health risk element, and with all this fresh ash, it's actually super risky to be back there cleaning up, disturbing all this ash. Is quite toxic. So there are people. There's a little mini fund going to buy respirator masks and stuff, so people can go back to their land and actually just start cleaning up without putting themselves in health risk.
Well, there's that as well, isn't there? I mean, this is depressing to be in that ongoing situation, landscape, if you like. It's going to take a long time for the landscape to recover, isn't it? And that's where people's lives and homes used to be, where their lives are now, and they have to live in that.
It takes years for the land to recover. And I even heard someone say, and I hadn't even thought of this, that in some cases when it's so devastated, it's not even safe to start rebuilding immediately. It sometimes takes 2 or 3 years just for the land to recover to the point where you're actually able to start rebuilding on there. Yeah, it's there's so much ash and toxicity.
So glad to hear that nobody perished in that, but it's clearly a lot of devastation and people's lives quite undermined and destroyed, in fact. And if possible, do please help with this GoFundMe that Jason's part of here. Look, someone's put in $5,000. It's amazing, isn't it? What can happen in these sort of circumstances. We've got a few comments coming in as well. Just shows how amazing the Bombeiros McDonald's is doing free meals for firefighters until the end of August. Bombeiros there. I remember driving through smoke back in 2005 when we were house hunting. It was scary. I think everyone who lives in Portugal has some sense of this, don't they? Even if it's in the distance and you see a massive smoke plume, it's like, shit, this is real. When it gets as real as this, it's just so sort of moving and devastating. I remember driving back then, says Pam, 2005 house hunting. It was scary and influenced the choice of where to live. Sad to see another bad year, which is perhaps how it's looking at the moment. Make sure you've got Fogos.pt, everybody, as well, so you know where the fires are. It's a very good app and a very good service to keep people informed of what's going on, when the fire started, what state it's in, how many personnel are attending to it, and when it's resolved. Gary saying, after last year's fire, I can understand the scale of devastation, how quickly fire can spread, and how scary they can be. The Bombeiros says, Pete, they're just so amazing and are always there so quickly on the scene, as you can see on Fogos. As mentioned, Fogos.pt. So sad that so many are asked, and there is that as well. I mean, it's just horrible to think that somebody would do that. I have heard of timed incendiary devices to go off at night. It's just dreadful, that, isn't it, if that is the case? Last year, an engineer was arrested for creating such time-delayed devices. My goodness, they would start a fire when he was far, so he couldn't be blamed. Unbelievable. It's a good warning to make sure you have a habitation license and good insurance. Well, in an ideal world, yes. But, we are where we are, and some people don't have that, and they need help. At the moment, Fogos.pt is not working on mobile phones at present. Thank you for that heads up on that, Pete. Well, Jason, thank you. It's good to see you, albeit in these terrible circumstances. Well done, mate, for putting this together and helping people. Is there anything else you want to add?
I looked just a quick comment on some of the comments that we made. I don't personally know too much about the stuff about the arson and the incendiary devices. I mean, as you say, if people are doing that, that's horrendous. And there have been stories about people doing that for their own reasons, whether it's an insurance job. But I think one of the things that isn't talked about enough is why these fires happen. And I mean, we know that in a country like Portugal, I mean, cork oaks literally evolved because of forest fires, protecting themselves from that sort of stuff. But you do get fires in this part of the world, and that's forested areas. But we need to remember that a lot of the problems here is caused by the eucalyptus plantations, the monocultures that we have in Portugal. I mean, basically, most of this area that was burnt to a crisp followed, you know, a line of eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is it's not native to Portugal. It's you know, it's planted in vast monocultures for the toilet paper industry, and eucalyptus has this extremely high burning temperature bark that drops off, and it starts these incredibly powerful and hot fires that are so devastating. And that with more endemic species, and if you had more natural forestation, these fires would be a lot easier to control and be a lot smaller. So on the political front, I'd say it doesn't get talked about enough, and this is something that a lot of the people here, a lot of these people in these communities who are being affected have been buying pieces of land with eucalyptus plantations on them, and they're actively trying to get the eucalyptus off again, you know, and reforest with native species, stuff like this. So I think we have to remember that a lot of the people who have been affected are also a lot of trying to be part of the solution to why these horrendous fires are happening, and it's in the face of some big political and commercial interests, that's not talked about enough, I think. So that would be my closing comments. Is I think everybody should learn a bit more about why these fires are happening. And it's
well
not
said.
just
Well said and well put, mate.
inevitable.
And that's the long term. I mean, you there you are. You're covering all the angles here, helping people who need help right now. And anyone who takes part, contributes to this GoFundMe, will be doing that to give people who need help most the help as soon as possible as well. And it sounds like there's an amazing sort of grassroots level support going on in the area, which we see in Portugal, which is so wonderful, in communities. And the long-term picture, definitely something needs to be done about that, and we'll keep our eye on that and talk about that. It's insane, isn't it, to have a tin, you know, have the conditions we have in terms of the propensity for wildfires to occur, and then actually lay on the most flammable of monocultural species in massive plantations once it gets going. It's insane, really. But not the only insane thing that's going on for humanity at the moment, but bit by bit, hopefully we can
say that again.
Yes, hopefully we can you know, reset that, and that of course is what a lot of the work that the people who are sort of permaculturally minded and so on, as you say, were trying to do before this even started. So it's
well, one final thing I'd say about that, because you just mentioned permaculture, is some friends of my wife's were in the area that was involved, and they were some of the most established and active permaculturalists who've been doing their best to transform their land from, you know, what would have been eucalyptus heavy monocultures to properly managed and well established diversity, and their land was virtually untouched during these fires. Like the land protected itself because the land had been given the opportunity to do that. So that's where we should be going.
Absolutely. In Palmela, there was a terrible fire. It might have been 2 years ago now. And I spoke to people who, I mean, you know, this is a similar sort of story. They'd moved in there with the best of intentions. They had a fire come up to their land from elsewhere, pretty much in the pattern we're describing here. But the planting they'd done in a more indigenous and mixed way was untouched and intact, as you say. And we saw an aerial, a drone photograph of it, of a lush green mixed forest from overhead in a landscape of just, you know, charred stumps of a plantation around it. So we've got the know-how, haven't we? It's just the will, I think, to put this into practice, really.
Absolutely. We have to drop this. Oh well, this is just what happens, and this is how it's always happened. It's not the case. You know, this is what we've created, and it's up to us to fix it.
Yeah. Okay, Jason. Good to see you, and love to you and Isabel and your family there, and
Thanks,
the best to all the best to people in the area there who you're helping. So yeah, pop back if you can. Let us know how things are going, and if there's any more help people can offer. Take care, mate.
Would love to. Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Right, Jason Horton there. The GoFundMe link I'll put that up again before the end of the show. We've kept Filomena waiting, but I suspect she'll be very understanding about this particular situation. Let's give her a nice big round of applause.
Filomena Friday.
Filomena Friday.
Olá.
Hello.
Olá, Carlitos. Olá, bom dia a todos.
Tia Filomena. Bom dia. Good to see you. I've been spoilt this week, seeing you twice. Sorry for keeping you waiting, but you can see there.
Oh, of course,
awful,
no problem.
Yeah.
We all have to help because it's a very hard situation. Yeah.
Yes, Fogos.pt, download the app. I think there's a bit of a problem with it on phones at the moment, but any computer where you can just type in the URL Fogos.pt, you'll find out what's going on and you'll be able to protect yourself. Grab bags are also useful. It's this time of year, isn't it, when we're reminded that what your bug out bag, your grab bag by the door with your essentials is useful as well if you live in a high fire risk area. And that does include a lot of people, certainly over your way, right, Filomena, in central Portugal, a lot of plantations and forestation over that way.
Yes, and unfortunately, too many eucalyptus. That's the problem.
As Jason was saying. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay, well, I think we've made the point there about the direction of travel. We would like to see less eucalyptus and more indigenous species. Not a million miles away from you is a great example of it at the Basarco forest. That's a beautiful, almost like a model planting, isn't it, around the Basarco Palace, which weathered a terrible storm, I believe, in the 1990s. And has stood the test of time and the ravages of wildfires and so on. So we know what to do, and I guess it's just a matter of, as we were saying there with Jason, getting on and doing it and not letting the commercial interest dominate too much and be part of this horror that we're seeing that Jason's trying to do something about. Filomena, great to see you. Language and culture on a Filomena Friday. I'm spoiled. I've seen you twice this week, and maybe you'll help us solve the mystery of the first Portuguese virtual reality headset. Not really. That's not what it is. It has an entirely different use, and it is this device here. Atop a beautiful Portuguese tablecloth with the Barcelos cocker on it. This device here. Let's not give the game away yet. What is that for, folks? That was yesterday's Learn About Portugal quiz. Did you want to say anything about it? It's made near you, isn't it, Filomena?
Well, this was made. This was handmade a few meters away from my house. So we have lovely pottery here because this area where I live, Miranda do Corvo, it's an area of clay, so we have clay pottery here. And if you are having a quiz about what that is, I'm not going to say what that is for, but we have many pottery items, so a decoration and also useful pottery.
Excellent. So let us know if you think you know what that is. Do let us know in the chat and any questions you've got. Now we do ask people in advance, don't we? And it's like homework. You're a teacher, you know what it's like. People tend to leave things till the last moment, don't they? And then it's like, yes, Filomena, what was it I wanted to ask her? We did have one question. And are there any other ongoing themes? Because I think as a teacher, you probably see a range of people coming in, and there are similar themes in some of the inquiries they've got. Is there anything from your end of things from the classroom that people are asking about at the moment?
No, sometimes people ask about the word todo and tudo, right? And it's always confusing if it's like toda and todo and todos and todas and things like that.
And what is the difference? I mean, bom dia todos, I think I'm right. I mean, that's what we tend to say.
Bom dia todos, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are the distinctions there, Filomena?
Yes. Yeah, well, first of all, let's start with tudo, because tudo is everything. And you can say that the opposite of tudo is nada. So everything and nothing, that's the opposite. So tudo, for example, está tudo muito caro agora. Everything is very expensive at the moment. So you can say whenever you want to say everything, is the word tudo.
Good.
On the other hand, todo, the opposite can be nenhum. So nenhum is none or no. For example, you can say, eu não tenho dinheiro nenhum. I have no money
What?
at all.
Could you run that past us again, please?
Eu não tenho dinheiro nenhum.
Okay.
Nenhum, you can consider it as an opposite of algum, but also as the opposite of todo. Because todo, it has to do with the whole thing. So, for example, o bolo todo is the whole cake. Or amanhã toda, because manhã is feminine, is the whole morning. A tarde toda, the whole afternoon. So when you say todo or toda, or we also have the plural, todas and todos, then it's all. It's in the sense of the complete thing. For example, when we say bom dia a todos, it's including all of you, right?
Yes.
So it's the whole. So if you say nenhum or nenhuma, then you are saying none. So, for example, you can say, não tens paciência nenhuma. You have no patience.
Okay.
So, não tens paciência nenhuma. So that is, we can consider an opposite of todo, nenhum, and toda, nenhuma. So, but tudo never changes. Tudo is everything, and you don't have a plural or a feminine. It's always the word tudo with
Very
a tu. A tu
Yeah.
never changes. It's always tudo.
Like that. So
Yeah, tudo, yes.
is that everything? And you will hear
Yeah.
this, won't you?
A todos. Bom dia a todos. With a plural, because
James,
it's
yeah, that he
all of
started
you.
so well.
Yeah.
He started so well. So bom dia todo. There. Good morning, everyone.
It was just a typing mistake.
It probably
But
was.
yes, todos, yes, everything, yeah.
There you go.
Todos, because it's all of you, so it's in the plural. You know, new. That's right.
We are we're getting some nice contextualization. Mr. S, especially keen, a language student, and we'll come back to Pete's favorite Bayaja, because I learned another formal and quaint greeting last night that I would like to share as well. So, Mr. S, thank you for being here. Get those questions in. Yes, thanks, Pam, for your input. Good to see you here this morning. Well, actually, we've got a bit of catching up to do as well, Filomena, in just a moment, because that was an extra item this morning from Jason. So we're a bit behind schedule, but I think you can join me in the greetings this morning, and keep those questions coming in, everybody. Filomena, this is also being put into context, Filomena. So you could use that todo in the sentence no buffet o Paulo come absolutamente todo e nunca engorda como eu. Which I think means then at the buffet, Paula, who we met, of course, it was so good to see you both on Wednesday. Thank you for coming to the meetup. What a lovely time we had. Paolo eats everything, but he doesn't end up a fatty like Pete is. I think that's what Pete is saying.
Yeah, that is correct. That is not todo, it's tudo with a U. Yeah. It's correct. O Paulo come absolutamente tudo. Yes, because todo, you have to refer the whole and then everything. I mean, the whole and then something. Like, for example, as I said, the whole cake, o bolo todo, or a refeição toda, the whole meal, or bebe o vinho todo. Things like that. But todo, you have to say what, right? You have to say the whole blah, 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 right? So you have to mention what. Otherwise, you can say tudo, meaning everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back to that. If you need any further clarification, any other questions about the Portuguese language or the culture as well, because it's really helpful.
Starting with this one, it's not easy.
No, but that's fair enough. We're here until 10 o'clock, and then we've got the hangout at 10 o'clock as well for anybody who wants
Hear
to
you. Oh, okay,
doing
you're
a bit of
back.
conversation. Yeah,
Sometimes
I
I
think
lose you.
yeah, we've got a little bit of a jittery signal, but we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine this morning.
Of course.
So, yes, yeah. Thank you for your earlier dad jokes. We've got more to come from T-Duck as well, which is great. Deep thought we didn't do yet. You can lose money and make it back, but you can't do that with time. Tim Ferriss, it's so true, isn't it? Who grew up in New York throughout childhood, he experienced poor health, sparking an interest in self-improvement. So the games sabia then. You sent in some lovely footage of the cyclists coming through Lousã. It's amazing, isn't it? The speed at which they travel.
They
and how
went
close they are. What was that? The Tour of Portugal, Volta a Portugal, or Volta a Portugal in Bicicleta, is an annual multi-stage road bicycle racing competition and takes place during a 2-week span in August. It's ongoing. And the competition started in 1927, but the second race wasn't until 1931. During World War II, the race was cancelled, and also in 75, the competition was skipped due to the Carnation Revolution. Yes, that was a very busy year, obviously, in Portugal.
Well, the revolution was in 74.
Yeah, but and of course, the years thereafter
But
were.
then, of course, but
turbulent.
then after the revolution, everything was a little bit different.
Yes, we'll have to miss out on the cycling this year. We've got a few other things to attend to. In the period 1940 to 80, the competition was staged over 3 weeks. And in the 80s, the tour was shortened to just 2 weeks. Since 2005, the race has been reduced to just 10 stages. Tour of Portugal is still the longest competition in cycling and the oldest after the other 3 Grand Tours, the Giro d'Italia, the Tour de France, and the Vuelta a España. There. Okay, thank you for that. And you may see them. And they take precedence, don't they? You can't be wandering about or parking up in the middle of the road or on a roundabout having a chat with your neighbours when the tour's coming through. The GNR might move you on with that. Okay, back to your dad jokes later on. Oh, we've also got Sarah dropping in. We've been trying to teach Sarah some Portuguese, Filomena. She'll be dropping in around 9:30, and I think she'll have some questions for you. Jean's in. And
okay.
Also, bon dia from Pedrogo Grande. This is a word that people struggle with, isn't it? Pedrogo.
Because of the nasal sounds, because we have lots of nasal sounds, right? And then that is also another nasal sound. And Pedrogão, because you should have an accent on the O, so it's the stress is there. So it's Pedrogão Grande.
Pedrogão Grande. There you go. Camping next to Lake Cabral. That sounds nice. Who are you?
Muito bem, Carlitos.
Oh, obrigado. Tia Filomena. I hope you don't mind me calling you that. Eurico is also here. Bon dia. Eurico Mota.
Muito bom dia.
And Algebrota. Medieval this weekend too. So that's the great story, isn't it, of the baker? I think
sim. Batalha de Aljubarrota.
Yes. Now, could you tell us a little bit about this lady who offered the Spanish a little bit of a place to hide?
A padeira de Aljubarrota. Yes, that she killed a few Spanish in the firewood oven.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they were looking for somewhere to hide, weren't they? And she said, "Yeah, come in here."
They hid in the wrong place.
They did, didn't they? So perhaps to this day, maybe you shouldn't take an Aljubarrotan lady baker at face value, especially if you're Spanish. So that sounds like fun that's going on there. They have a reenactment, don't they, of the battle between the Portuguese and the Spanish, where I think the Brits helped out as well, or the English at that time. Hola, Feliz.
Yeah, and that padeira, Britos de Almeida, her name Britos de Almeida. She was a very tough woman. She was,
wasn't she? I think as well, women queue up for that role, don't they, for the reenactment? Like, who wants to volunteer to be this lady? Yes, I'll do that. and lock a few Spaniards in the bread oven. Hola, Feliz Estafeira from Leah. Good morning to you. Lovely to see you here. And Pam, I had a cold beer after work yesterday. Well, good for you, Pam. And that was at helping out at the food bank there. Tell us more, Pam. Always good to hear about that and your voluntary work. Haha, I am so lost as to which day of the week it is. I thought Wednesday was Thursday. Oh, this was going back to earlier on. He doesn't know what day of the week it is. If you want help with days of the week, that's another thing we can do, or counting.
Segunda-feira, terça-feira, quarta-feira, quinta-feira, sexta-feira, sábado e domingo.
Perfect.
Hoje é sexta-feira.
Hoje is such a lovely word to say, isn't it? Hoje. Okay, so
Hoje é
hope
sexta-feira.
that helps. It is sexta-feira today. We're putting a sex in sexta-feira today, James. So yeah, I hope that helps. Bella, assadora de chouriço. Okay, there's a guess.
Assador de chouriço.
The chouriço. So that's great. That helps. It's a clue, really.
At least I don't know if Eurico. I don't know where he lives, but maybe they call it assadora there, but we call it assador.
Okay, there you go. Eurico, where do you live actually? If you don't mind letting us know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know.
Yes, absolutely. A well-deserved pint for Pam there. Pete's congratulating you on that. Bon dia, Antonio from Jean as well. And Byrondre is in. Bon dia, Malta. Okay, so what does he mean by that? He's not talking to the country of Malta, is he?
No, he is saying good morning, folks.
Folks, that's such a lovely way, lovely turn of phrase. Bon dia, Malta. Starting my journey back home to
Bon dia, Malta.
Today. Hope you all have a fun-packed weekend. Cheers, and we'll do your events later on as well. We'll have a look at Jean's dolphin tour too. Fernanda, hola, bon dia, muito prazer. Fernanda Batista is here as well. With a bon dia, good to see you. And the
Fernanda Batista, probably, if I see well, my cousin.
Oh, hola, bon dia, muito prazer. Okay, let's talk. Here's a good opportunity for us to talk.
From Lydia, she lives in Lydia.
Does she? So it's bon dia, alegria, alegria this morning.
Bon dia, alegria, alegria.
They are beautiful. Okay, Schist villages then. Let's talk about our trip. We hatched this plan, didn't we? We're having a great time at the meetup on Wednesday. And you were talking about, of course, about your trip to. Oh, actually, let's do that first, because there is a trip that people need to sign up to. If you're interested in this at all, now is the time.
The parsnip.
Yes,
Festival.
tell us about this, Filomena, please.
Yes, there is the Parsnip Festival in Covilhã. Actually, it's my cousin's Fernanda comes from Covilhã, but she lives in Leiria now.
Oh.
So Covilhã, because a part of my family is from Covilhã, my mother's side of the family, and I am very fond of that area too. And I like Serra da Estrela very much. Serra da Estrela is a beautiful mountain. It's the highest mountain in the mainland. So it's almost 2,000 meters high. So on the 24th of September, which is a Sunday, this trip is going to be to visit the highest point in the mainland in Portugal, and at the top we can buy some lovely cheese from Serra da Estrela. Maybe the best cheese in Portugal, if not at least one of the best. It's my favorite. And no, it is really a very famous cheese, a very, very nice one. And you can have, you can buy cheese, you can buy other local products, like, for example, any coats for the winter, because, of course, there are lots of sheep in the mountain. And so woolen products. So, for example, a lovely jumpers, and that is your woolen hat that I also given you.
Yes.
But yes, so yes, you can buy the woolen products, the blankets and jumpers and socks and things like that. So you have lots of things to see at the top and to buy if you want to buy anything. And then we are going to the highest mountain, to the highest restaurant up at the top of the mountain. The restaurant is the name of the restaurant is Torre, so it's the tower. And we are having a lovely lunch that is going to be prepared, especially for us, with special dishes, local dishes, and lots of desserts as well, in a very good Portuguese way. And and then after that we come down to Covilhã, and then in the city of Covilhã we are going to visit the Parsnip Festival, so you can see also lots of different recipes with parsnip, and there is music going on and the stalls to visit, so we have lots of things to see as well.
That's
and
wonderful.
then come back in the afternoon.
And people need to book this by the end of the month as well.
Yes,
yeah.
at least yes, because of the bus, because the bus has to know. I have to know for sure
Yeah.
if I need to hire the bus or not.
Yes,
So
and
I need to know.
I'm sure Pete will tell you going on, and Andy as well. Anyone who's been on a Filomena tour will tell you how much fun it is.
Pete is meeting us there. Pete is meeting us in Covilhã because he lives quite near, so he will meet us there. So you can also meet us for for the socializing and have lunch with us. You can also, but again, I have to know in advance because that lunch is going to be prepared just for us, as I said. So I need to know how many people are going, and decide the details.
Mr. S loves it up there, and so what I would urge people to do is, if you're interested in this, just commit. Let Filomena know, tripsofbrits@gmail.com, so that she can get it all sorted out. Get a bus load up there and have some great fun eating the wonderful cheese. I think Suze is also joining you. She bought some Saya cheese, which I think gives the distillery cheese a bit of a run.
Yes, it's also near. Yes, it's also near. But if you don't need the bus, as I said, if you don't need the bus, you can also participate. And I would advise to join us in Covilhã and go up. If you are going from Covilhã, you can go up as Pete is going to do with us to the top. Or if you come from the other side of the mountain, like Suze, then you can join us at the top and be with us the rest of the day.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. So that's going to be taking place on Sunday, the 24th of September. And then 2 weeks after, pretty much, on the Saturday, we just, this came together beautifully, didn't it? On Wednesday, who would like to go to the Schist villages? And hey, how about we pop into the Beirão Nectar Nursery Distillery while we're over that way? Have a look at some of the villages. And why don't we do it slightly differently and have a bus that leaves from the Silver Coast, from Caldas, the place of the famous phallic ceramics, which you can see in the picture there. I don't know where you drink out of that cup. I dread to think. But that's looking good for our Saturday, isn't it? Sábado.
Yes, it was an idea that came up on Wednesday, as you said. We had a lovely afternoon in São Martinho do Porto. And I thought that maybe because all those expats that we met in the Bay, probably they have never been to this area of Portugal. And it's a lovely area, central Portugal here. And we have Aldeias do Xisto. It's the Rede de Aldeias do Xisto. It's a network of villages that are a total of 27, but of course we are not going to visit the 27 villages.
Well, you say that, but you did send me a message yesterday asking if 8 o'clock is too early. And I was thinking, are we visiting, if we're setting off at 8 o'clock, are we visiting all 27? But fair point. I mean, we've got to get over there, haven't we? So hence the early start.
And then we have the cycling to the restaurant as well, isn't it?
We do have the cycling to the restaurant as well, which I think I've got a video of somewhere. We'll come back to that, which ties in nicely the tour of Portugal and our visit up there. So let's answer Pam's question here, which she's done bilingually. Look at this. Autocarro parte de onde?
Autocarro parte de onde?
O restaurante tem algum prato vegetariano? So likely cost for this. I know we've put you on the spot here, Filomena. You've got to find out with the bus company and so on.
Yes. First of all, I'm contacting now because this was just the day before yesterday, right?
Yeah, right.
So it is very, very. It's a very recent idea. Because I've already done a few visits to, of course, guided tours to the Schist villages, but it's not usually with a bus because I do that for 3 or 4 people, so a small group.
Yeah.
But with a bus from Caldas, I am contacting the bus companies from Caldas to know how much they will charge to come up here. So about the costs, we can of course on the group, the WhatsApp group, wasn't it? It's
Yes.
the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, definitely.
Then on that group, I'm going to answer all the questions. As soon as I have the costs, of course, I will put everything in, of course.
Yeah.
Then about the vegetarian dishes, yes. And again, I have to know in advance. But as soon as I know, I will tell them that there are vegetarian people, and they let me tell you that this restaurant they have very, very good vegetarian dishes. So if you let me know in advance, then you will have a very good meal there.
There you go. So no problem for vegetarians at all. And we're working on the cost. It's not going to be astronomical. Your trips are incredibly good value. I've noticed, and I don't think anyone would have any complaint about the cost.
I always try, the best price possible. But sometimes, for example, now the buses are a bit dear now because of all the
energy costs, right?
The diesel costs and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, João Batista. Okay, João Batista is my cousin as well.
Olá, bom dia, João Batista.
Hola, João.
Great to see you here. This is so fantastic. We're looking forward to that. And imagine if we've been to the Licor Beirão factory, there's going to be a sing-song on the coach on the way back. Or if you've got everybody up at 8 o'clock in the morning to be on the coach, they'll all be asleep. Because
look, if you don't start at 8 o'clock from Caldas, because you take about 2 hours to get here on a bus, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's about
no
2
problem.
hours.
Yes, and we can sleep
so
on the bus on the way there as well.
You start at 8, if you start at 8, you arrive at about 10. And 10 o'clock, I think it's a good time to start. But if you prefer to start a bit later, we can start later. But we are not going to see as many things as we could. But
I'm really excited about this. I'll drive over to Caldas.
It's just once, and then it's of course, I don't like to get up early. I don't like to be very, very, very early, but it's just once. So
yes,
if you are doing it for fun, it's not bad.
It's fine, isn't it? You make a bit of an effort and you get up and you're all bleary-eyed, and then we start. I'm sure we'll have a coffee or two on the way.
You can sleep on the way for 2 hours, so you can just take a nap.
No, we'll be too excited. We'll be too excited for that. There will be some people. Maybe we'll have like in the old days of smoking and non-smoking, we'll have a sleeping and non-sleeping section of the coach on the way over. So I'm really looking forward to that, Filomena, and thank you so much for suggesting it. And it sounds like the plan is coming together. The WhatsApp group link is in the chat. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And I don't think there will be time to drink out of a Caldas ceramic. That might have to be a different trip. Thank goodness. Okay.
Probably not from Caldas ceramic. Probably not.
Let's not do that.
But we have the pottery around here, so we can also have something.
Okay.
But not in the Caldas one.
All right. Good morning to you, Jamal. Thanks for saying hi to us this morning. And Bob's here. Just been talking about Turo and Toro in the rooster tour. They're talking to a rooster over there. Good stuff. Have you been drinking too much Beirão and talking to roosters on the way home? Okay, we have a question from James as well now. So let's go back to the language and culture. Please help me understand the difference and use of pouco and pouquinho.
Pouco. I think it's pequeno, probably PE, not OU.
I like that.
Or maybe pouco and pouquinho. I don't know. Pouquinho. Okay. Yes, it's either. Yes, as Antonio says, it's either pouquinho or pequeno, because he has mixed the two words, and
He's
we don't
invented a new
understand.
language, right? Okay.
We don't understand if it's pouquinho or pequeno. But if it's the difference between pouco and pequeno with a PE, pequeno is small. It's to do with the size. And pouco is to do with quantity.
Okay,
So, for example, pouco, and again, pouco and pequeno can be masculine or feminine. So you can say pouca água. So, for example, a little water. So, pouca água, just a small amount of water. And yes, the question is it about quantity or size? Because quantity is, as I said, is to do with pouco, and size pequeno. So you can say pouco. A little, you can say pouco, a little bit, yes, pouquinho, because as you say, the inho is a small something, right? So pouco is already a few or a little, and then pouquinho is a little bit. But yes, it's the difference. Probably he wanted to say pequeno. But yes, it's the difference between, as I said, quantity, pouco, and pequeno for size.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you for the question, James. Sarah has joined us backstage, and I think I don't know if she disappeared again because she found the language a little bit daunting and challenging. Sarah, it's fine. You'll be fine. Filomena's here. It's not me trying to teach you, which was a disaster last time, I think. Let's give her a nice big round of applause.
No, you're not a disaster, Carlitos. No.
No, it is one of my reviews. Don't let this guy teach you Portuguese. It's on the Apple Podcast reviews. But don't let that put you off, as I say, Sarah. Good morning to you. Bom dia. Tudo bem?
Bom dia.
Olá, bom dia. Bom dia.
Hola.
Are you just a little bit nervous, Sarah?
Yes.
Well, you need
no reason. There is no reason.
Because we're going to help you translate all the currency jargon, I think, this morning. Not really. But if we could very quickly just say a quick word about dollars and euros and pounds. There was a bit of volatility yesterday, wasn't there, between the pound and the euro, I think, Sarah. Did I see that?
Yeah, we've seen it. I mean, certainly at the moment, I mean, I was just looking actually the euro US dollar. And you know, it is a little bit better than where we saw it in July, but we have seen it lower in May. So I mean, the difference between May and now is probably about nearly 3%, which on a 250,000 euro purchase, say a property or transfer, that's nearly, well, £7,500, you know, within only a few months. So really, what I always would like to just highlight to people, the rates can move very dramatic. I mean, it's not a dramatic movement in some ways compared to what we've seen previously, but even small movements on your larger transfers can really make a difference. You know, that's a different. I mean, what could you do with $7,500? You know, you could buy a car. I mean, all sorts of things you could be doing.
You could get many trips with Filomena for that sort of money.
Absolutely.
With the value that she
You're
offers.
fluent.
And if we contextualize that little movement, which means a lot of money in the end, is pouco, I think. What would be a little currency movement, Filomena? Pouco? There you go. It will stick if we contextualize it, won't it? So that's the dollar and the euro. And so what about the pound holders? How are they doing at the moment?
So again, I haven't actually got any graphs to share. Maybe next time I will do that, because I think the thing for me is always looking at the bigger picture as well, because what I find is a lot of times when I'm speaking on these shows, people's time frames are generally much longer. They're looking to move, and it could be 12 months, it could be 6 months. So I think with any kind of, when you're thinking about transferring money, one of the things to probably think about is, when you started the journey, what rate were you working on then, and how is it overall improved? I mean, now we're kind of, for people that are in the UK and they're buying euros, we're getting up to levels that we saw really back in sort of 2022. So it is a good time to be buying your euros. I'd ultimately think about, again, your timeframes. And one of the things that we try and do at Spartan FX is get people to think that, yes, you might not be moving for another 6 months, but rates can change. And perhaps now, with it being a good rate, when you look at it historically, the rates could start to move in your favour, or against you. We could maybe help buy your euros now, or fix the rate for your future transfers, and just help you give peace of mind that you're working around a more stricter budget. Because that's the biggest problem, I would imagine, is that you're trying to budget your move. How much is that rent going to cost me? How much is that car? How much is that property? I'm going to move my money. How much am I going to get to live on? And that's very challenging when the rates are moving. So that's part of really what we try and do, is just help you navigate that.
Okay, all right. So manage your dinero and your moedas. Let's do a little bit of money talk, shall we, in Portuguese? How is it going, Sarah? Thank you very much for your update. How is it going with your Portuguese language tuitional learning?
Poorly. Was it?
People always say that. Probably better than you imagine. Un poco. Fair enough. You see, that's good. That's very good. When you next back in the country?
October.
Great. So, excellent.
Yay.
Okay, maybe you're in time for our coach trip, or at least part of it. We'll meet you at the Beirão factory. What do you need to know? What do you want to ask Filomena while you're here?
What do I need to know? I think, to be honest, I have these conversations with a lot of people. Obviously, in business, it's completely different. I mean, over the years, for example, I've worked with a lot of French people, and we generally used to employ people that were French that then spoke English, because employing someone who's English that then speaks French, for example, it's often very challenging in the business world. It's just completely different level of language that you need to know and learn, and it's a lot harder. Whereas here, not to say that this is very difficult for me anyway, but what I want to learn is just the basics of, what you've been saying before I came on, that, I come to Portugal, I go into a restaurant, I would like to order a coffee or a meal in Portuguese, or, to be able to greet and, maybe hold a small conversation with somebody, asking maybe how they are, or, just to be polite. Really.
Fine, we can do that, can't we, this morning? Are you all right with us to stick with us and do that for 5 or 10 minutes, Sarah?
Yes, that's fine.
Great. All right. They think, I guess that in the Spartan FX office, they think you're talking to us about currency, but secretly, we're teaching you about Portuguese language and culture. Now, I had a conversation yesterday. Filomena, Pete's greeting, bem-aja.
Yes.
I shared that with some Portuguese people last night, and they kind of smiled. And I said, why are you smiling? And this is a greeting. Could Sarah and I use that in a cafe of bem-aja?
Well, bem-aja is a greeting that is used in the area where Peter lives, right? So there are some expressions that they use there that it would seem a bit awkward to use them elsewhere.
Right.
So bem-aja, yes. For example, even if you travel in that area, and you see, usually when you leave a town, you see those signs saying "Obrigado pela sua visita."
Yes.
Do you know those signs?
Yes.
So in that area, they don't say on the sign, they don't put "Obrigado pela sua visita." They say bem-aja. Even on the signs, they write bem-aja. Because that is a local way of thinking. They say bem-aja. But to say bem-aja here, for example, and I'm just 2 hours away from them, but if I say bem-aja here, people probably would look at me in a funny way, you know. Right? I say, what is she speaking about, right?
Okay, all right. So that has to be
But
again.
so it's in Caldas.
No, okay. Well, they must
And
have
in
been
São
over
Martinho
here.
do Porto and in Caldas, probably it will be a bit awkward to say bem-aja.
Really? Because those rascals last night, this is Daniel Reis of Reis and Pelicano, Nuno and Anna Vieira of Cascais. Daniel said to me, perhaps you could go into a cafe and address everybody with the greeting, Ora viva, bem-aja. If I do that, am I going to look like a complete plonker in my local cafe? Yes.
Well, they might think you're coming from the 19th century.
Ora viva, amigos. Oh, gente. So I should say, so what does it actually mean?
No. As I said, Ora viva. Yeah, it's like saying hi, folks, or something like that. But but as I said, there are local things that local expressions that they seem a bit awkward if you use them in another area of the country.
I better not then. All right, I better not. Okay, let's stick to Well, we underlined the importance last night, Filomena, and you said this of saying the most important thing, I think, Sarah, if I may say so, as you know, as the expert pretender at least, is to before, and this is what a lot of foreigners do. They work a lot on what they want rather than establishing contact first. So it's important to do your hola bon dia or boa tarde or boa noite before you are getting on cafe. So that's a really important thing. And it gives you, the great thing is it's strategic because it gives you a little bit of time to relax once you get into the establishment. So it's really important. I don't know, has that been said to you? Does that make sense to make the connection, the human connection before the transaction? That's for you, Sarah.
Oh, it's me. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's it's polite, isn't it? But I mean, I suppose I'd like to think I do that here. You know, you greet people with hello, or maybe not how are you as much in some situations, unless it's maybe, I don't know, an event that you've gone to. But I suppose in a shop, sometimes you might say how are you, but generally it might just be hello.
It's because you're well brought up. Okay, fair enough. So that's a second nature to, but it is important in the culture, and it goes down well, doesn't it, Filomena, to establish the
and it's all about the pace of life in Portugal, right? Yes. You don't rush for everything.
Yep.
You don't do everything. You know, you don't go straight to the point and say what you want. No, you have a little chat where, you know, you might say tudo bem, for example. Not como está, maybe, because como está can be a bit too formal, but it's tudo bem.
Very good. Okay, so make that contact. Morning to you, Bobby O'Reilly. Hola, bon dia to you, Bobby, this morning. So we got comments and questions. Stick around, Sarah, if you will. Thank you for being with us, Filomena, to approach these and for helping us this morning. Filomena, can I put you in touch with a friend of ours who is in charge of rural tourism for a group of Schist villages? Oh, that sounds good. He may be able to organise something special. And here's a review for you. Filomena's trips are amazing. I don't know if you can get on the tour bus. Sarah,
as I said,
what's this tour?
As I said, the Schist villages. Sorry.
Go on, Filomena. I'll come back to Sarah in just a minute.
As I said, the Schist villages, they are spread in central Portugal through several municipalities, and of course, near Peter, there are also a few Schist villages. So they are split into four main areas.
Okay.
Serra da Lousã, Serra do Açor, Zezer, you know the river? The river?
Oh, it's so
Zezer,
beautiful over there, yeah.
And the other river, Tejo and Ocreza. So those four areas, Serra da Lousã, Serra do Açor, Zezer, and Tejo Ocreza, are the four big areas for the Schist villages. And they are, for example, near Peter, Castelo Branco, for example, he has Martim Branco, Sarzedas, which belong belongs actually to the Tejo and the Ocreza area. Then you have for example, in the municipality of Vila de Rei, you have Água Formosa. In Proença Nova, for example, you have Figueira. Those are the Tejo Ocreza villages. Then in the Zezer area, you have in Fundão, in the municipality of Fundão, where Peter lives, Barroca and Janeiro de Cima. You also have in Oleiros, Álvaro. You have in Pampilhosa da Serra, and Peter knows Pampilhosa da Serra. We have Janeiro de Baixo, for example, that belongs to Zezer, and then we also have Feijão, that already belongs to Serra do Açor. In Pedrógão Grande, for example, there is the village of Mosteiro, also belonging to Zezer, and in Sertã, Pedrógão Pequeno, also belongs to Zezer. Then in Serra da Lousã, this area where I am, we have the majority of the Schist villages, especially in the municipality of Lousã. So Lousã has got Candal, Casal Novo, Cerdeira, Chiqueiro, Talasnal. Talasnal is the most known one, the most famous. So we are going to see that one for sure. And in Miranda do Corvo, we also have Gondramar. So living in Miranda do Corvo, of course, I'm going to show you my Schist village, Gondramar, which is a beautiful one as well. And at least Talasnal in Lousã. And we on the way to Talasnal, we can also pass Casal Novo and see a few of them. Yes.
Wonderful. So to answer your question then, Sarah.
They are 27. So, I mean, there are so many things to say about the Schist villages.
There are enough to be getting on with for
because
sure.
Some of them are...
Sorry, Filomena.
No, I was saying that some of them are completely in schist, so the houses are with stone, but others are a bit more modernized, let's say. So they have a few schist houses and also other normal, let's say, normal kind of house. But,
there you go, Sarah. That's what it looks like. That's the style of the building. And we're also going to the Beirão factory where they make the classic liqueur. Now, it sounds like you might be in Portugal that weekend. So if we could maybe take you hostage from the airport.
Yeah.
Take you on our trip with us.
And I'm still checking with the factory if we can do that on the 7th or not, because if they say it's better to do it in some other date, then we can change the date.
Yeah.
But this was an idea, as I said before, and you said it. It was the day before yesterday that we thought of this, and so we are still working on the idea.
I got very excited and carried away, but we will certainly be having a trip to the Schist villages and the Beirão factory in some way or another. Okay, this in from Mr. S. Ajo Folgo. Folgo isn't a Portuguese thing. This came up last night. Is this again something somebody would say in the 19th century?
Well, it's something that I don't hear for a long time.
Okay. All right. So I said to him last night, get a newer phrase book. I mean, he must have picked up an old one in a like a thrift shop, a phrase book from the 1950s with all these quaint turns of phrase. So there you go. There's no reason you shouldn't say it, but don't be surprised.
No, you can say it, of course. Aja Folgo is to do with all the festa time now in the summer, right? Okay. You hardly have a time to breathe because Aja Folgo, right? So you have to have a lot of energy to keep up with all the activities.
Take a breath. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Filomena, every evening at the festa, we heard a song with the lyrics Adoro cerveja. Right, putting you on the spot, Sarah Davey. What do you think that means, Adoro cerveja? You might like to use this.
Well, that's easy.
You say that, Filomena.
I don't know.
I'm sure Sarah knows cerveja.
Adoro, pretty much the Latin root we can go with there. So, and with the O on the end.
Cerveja, Sarah,
go on, Filomena.
May I play teacher
yes.
now?
Yes.
Sarah, do you know the word cerveja?
Cerveja. Cerveja.
Cerveja.
Cerveja. Do you know the word
Cerveja.
cerveja?
No, I'm looking back for my
No?
notes and I haven't heard
When you
anything like
go when you go to a cafe, what do you usually drink?
that. A coffee.
Water.
Coffee.
Coffee. And nothing else when it's very hot?
Wait, water.
No. Do you drink alcohol at all?
Do I drink what? Sorry.
Any alcohol?
Any alcohol?
Wine.
Oh, okay.
No.
Wine. Yes, of course. Cerveja is beer, right?
Okay,
Beer.
fine.
Cerveja. Don't you like beer?
Well, to be honest, in my defence, I've had to stop because I've got a gluten intolerance, so I'm not drinking beer
Okay.
anymore.
So you
that's in my
prefer
defence.
You're
you prefer
excused.
wine, right? Well, wine is a
wine.
very good choice as well. Yes. So and adoro, if you just change the last letter, you have the English word. What is very similar to adoro in English?
Adoro. Don't know. You adore somebody? You
Just
like?
the last letter. Take
I
the
would
O.
like.
Yes.
Just yes, because adoro is like adore, right? To adore. So to love something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I love beer. Adoro cerveja. I love beer. Right. Well, the lyrics with adoro, adoro cerveja, I'm not sure about this adoro, but I know that is there is a popular song from the singer Toy,
Oh, yeah.
which goes tira a cerveja do congelador. That is tira a cerveja do congelador. Which is take the or no, wait a minute, it's põe a cerveja no congelador, then at the end is tira a cerveja do congelador, but at first I think it goes põe a cerveja no congelador e vem fazer amor. Do you know that one? Carl?
No, I'm looking up pictures of toy, which is a
Toy,
little bit
toy, like English toy, Toy.
right.
Toy.
But look, this is the guy we're talking about.
Yes, Toy. That's the guy. That's the guy. And if you look for the song Cerveja no Congelador, I don't know the name of the song, but it's probably Cerveja no Toda a Noite. No, I think the song is Toda a Noite. Toda a Noite.
Filomena, we're in danger of getting Sarah into a lot of trouble here. She's in the conference room. And there's a corporate setting outside. So what are you doing in there? We're looking at pictures.
Yeah, no, if they'd come in now and seen that guy on the
If
screen.
someone bursts in now, you've got semi-naked men on the screen talking about beer.
And as I said to you, Carl, the lyrics go: põe a cerveja no congelador e vem fazer amor. So can you translate that?
Could you run that past me a little bit more slowly? I'm still recovering from the pictures of toy.
Fazer amor. What do you think it is?
It makes you more loving. Is that right?
It's literally to make.
It makes love.
Love.
Right. Okay, that's a little bit different from making you
Well,
more loving.
Okay.
So what is this?
It's
isn't it an offence in Portugal to make love to beer in a public place? I certainly hope so.
No, you put the beer in the fridge and then you make love and then the beer is cold.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is a country that's got its priorities right. Yes, okay, fair enough. I'm going to learn the lyrics to that and might do, as Pete suggests, the moves as well. So thank you very much. Mr. S, I think, is getting a lot of value.
Make love, yes.
Enjoying this morning. Beijo a todos. A noite, blooming brilliant. Pete's enjoying it as well.
Toda a noite. No, toda a noite. Toda a noite is the words are toda a noite, meaning the whole night.
The whole night.
Toda a noite.
All right. Okay.
It's
very
not
good.
todos because it's no plural and it's no masculine. It's toda a noite, feminine and singular.
Okay, we're learning a lot, not in quite the way we imagined this morning. Hi, Filomena and Carl. I'll extend that to you as well, Sarah. This is Muyesa Unal. Greetings from Usak. Do you remember? Yes, I so do.
Oh,
and
hello.
Filomena, you have a special connection, don't you, with this place? A little bit closer to you in Germany at the moment.
Yeah, I've been 3 times to Ushak. Yeah, Oh yeah, very, very good.
Publisher.
Yes,
Yeah.
closer, a lot closer to us. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, good to see you this morning. We are at 10 o'clock. Sorry, I've been having too much fun talking about beer and sex and Portugal and Portuguese and so on. I don't know how you're going to explain this, Sarah, but we'll have to leave that to you. Thank you very much.
Is this a typical Friday for you, Carl?
Yes, as it turns out, I'm afraid to say. Yes, it is. There was one interesting note just before we go that Gary said in his part of central Portugal. When he says como estás, if you say, here we go, if you say como está around here, they look at you like you've got two heads. Again, it's regional, is it? So tudo bem is safe.
Tudo bem, yes. Tudo bem, yeah.
But you can't go wrong with that, Sarah. I hope we have helped a little bit. What I did notice is you actually know more than you realize. And that's a common thing, isn't it, Filomena?
Yes.
People say, oh, it's so difficult. I don't know anything. And in fact, you know, adoro, there are a lot of clues in there, aren't there?
Yes, because you just, you know, because in your mind, in Sarah's mind at that moment, she thought, I don't know what this is, you see? And
Panic.
then she blocked completely. Right? Because it's not as different as you might think. Because if you just take the O and you put an E, you recognize the word adore, right?
Yeah.
And adore is to love, to adore, it's the same. So it's quite, because people sometimes they just panic and they say, oh, I don't understand. No, but actually there are a few words that are similar.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, and I think we all do it in our own language, we talk very quickly. So when that's the other thing when I'm there, they talk very quickly. So that's also an added struggle, because if you are learning and you're trying to listen to what they say, they go so quick, you've kind of missed it maybe, or missed some of the words. How would you tell people to speak slowly, or ask them to?
Yes, you can say, you can just say mais devagar, por favor, mais devagar, meaning slower, mais devagar, por favor, or the sentence, the whole sentence, you can say, pode falar mais devagar, por favor. Can you speak slower, please? Pode falar mais devagar, por favor.
Pod is such a lovely word, isn't it?
But according to my experience also about the slower pace, people start slower for 30 seconds and then they forget about it.
They do. Or the other scenario. There's another one.
You have to keep repeating that, and you know, you have to be patient and repeat and repeat, because people try to slow down and then they forget about it.
Yeah, and the other scenario, Sarah, is you'll be very pleased to have that up your sleeve or written on the back of your hand. And you'll go into a shop and someone say, diga. You say, mais devagar, faz favor. And they'll say, English? How can I help you?
Yeah.
And you say, no, in Portuguese.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, there is that as well. So let me give you some dad jokes to send you on your way. This is like your party bag for Feel Good Friday. Thanks to T-Duck for these. I could never work in a coal mine, says T-Duck. It's beneath me. Well, let's hope they get better. A dog acts like a toddler, but a cat acts like a 28-year-old unemployed dropout who still lives at home. Now, living with two kittens at the moment, I can say that is true. It's certainly going to turn out that way, I suspect. And finally, and thank you, T-Duck, for these, I trained my dog to fetch beer. That may not sound too impressive, but he gets them from the neighbour's fridge. Very good. No doubt.
Listening to the song.
Exactly. Whilst you're making love, I suspect, in a toy song kind of way there, T-Duck. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Filomena, for joining us this morning. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Sarah, for popping in, getting more than you bargained for, I think. So final words from both of you, if you will. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to do a few events from the Bairrada and show you a dolphin video that Jean took. Oh, and the tour coming through Lousã. We've got a few things to share before that, though. Let's see these ladies on their way. Sarah, to you first. Final words on this Feel Good Friday.
No, thanks for having me. It's always good to learn new things. And as I said, just to try and improve the language skills that I have, just because I do come across to Portugal quite regularly. But yeah, from the currency side of things, if you are thinking of moving to Portugal, you are going to need to move your money ultimately, and just think about how and when you're going to do that. and we're able to offer guidance and help on that and support you. So please do get in touch. Carl will be able to provide you the links, or you can get in touch with us through Carl or email us directly. My email address is sdavy@spartanfx.co.uk.
Fantastic. Have a lovely weekend. Or as Portuguese people say, bom fim de semana to you, Sarah. And there's mais devagar. That's a key phrase for you to slow down the rate of Portuguese that you might be encountering from time to time. Great to see you. Teacher! Oh, very good. Tia Filomena, your final words, please.
We are in summer now, so there are many festas all around. In every village you have festas, so try to join the festas. Of course, they are very late in the evening, very, very late.
Yes.
Like Peter had some firework at 4 a.m. But I'm sure you can you can have a lot of fun. And also, you know your neighbors there. You can speak to your neighbors and everybody. Beijos, Owen. Beijos para ti também.
Owen, good to see you, mate. See you. What great.
So try to have fun as much as possible. Try to socialize a little bit more and speak to Portuguese people, because I think you can find very good friends.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great note to end on. Bom fim de semana. Muito obrigado to you. So lovely to see you at the meetup on Wednesday. And I've still got to learn about Portugal quiz question as well about the Frontina. We've still got loads to do, but I'll wish you a very good weekend. Bom fim de semana. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Filomena.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. There they go. I could have happily stayed here talking to them all morning, but that probably wouldn't be fair to Filomena or Sarah, who's got some explaining to do now, basically, at corporate HQ of Spartan FX. What have you been doing in there? Laughing and giggling and looking at semi-naked men and talking about beer. It's Friday. Come on, lighten up, everybody. Oh, we had this picture as well from, this is from Pam. They are getting ready from the San Bernardino Festival, I think it's called, where Filomena's beloved Juntos e Pontapés, I think I said it right this time, are playing. And I think we've got a little bit of video of them as well. So this is who you can expect. I think this is at Juntos here. Let's have a quick look. That is Juntos there, who are going to be here, not on that particular street in Alcobaça, but the São Bernardo Fair is coming up, and Juntos e Pontapés are playing there. Quite a few things to update you with. We're way behind schedule this morning, but we're just hanging out, taking it easy. It's Aja Folga. Take a breath, take it easy. Calma, tranquilo on this Friday morning. Having said that, here's the tour coming through Lousã. That is extraordinary, isn't it? Let's just get rid of the Alcabasa picture for a moment. We've got some dolphins for you now. Definitely can calm down, can't we? Let's have a look at a little bit of dolphin action, so to speak. Jean captured this, a dolphin spotting tour. I'm presuming down in the Algarve. Let's relax and chill with the dolphins for a moment. Really special. That's like me in the bay at San Martino de Porto, you know. It's as though they know, isn't it, that humans want to see them. So they rock up next to the boat like that. Fabulous. Let's go and have a quick look at this quiz question of today then. And maybe we can... No, I'm going to leave it hanging there, actually. The device that Filomena very kindly gifted me on Wednesday. Let me just bring onto the screen the Learn About Portugal. Sorry if everyone is waiting for the hangout. We will get there in the end, and we'll maybe have a nice cup of coffee as well for the hangout. Oh, that was any questions today. And do you know what? We asked you for your questions, and Tom did ask a question about onde está a Casa de Banho. I should be all right if I know that. However, I guess I could ask if Casa de Banho is masculine or feminine. I could also ask if you think watching the news in Portuguese is a good way to pick up the language once you get the basic vocabulary down. I would say yes. And Antonio, and I'm sure Filomena will be back to you there over at Learn About Portugal to answer that question. Before that, let's sort of go through this chronologically. We saw Filomena on Wednesday, where she gave me this amazing device, which is here. And I'm going to zoom into it now. You should be able to see this on your screen. What is that? There was a guess. It was in Portuguese. Actually, it wasn't a guess. It was the correct answer, and it was in Portuguese. So there was a good clue for you during the show. So that was yesterday's quiz question. What is that for? That Filomena very kindly gifted me on Wednesday. And what might I be doing with it over the weekend, in fact? Yes, I need to buy some alcohol. There's another clue for you. And the thing that goes on the top there, well, I won't say any more than that, but I think that's a big enough clue for you. And today's quiz question of the day, here it is, your Learn About Portugal quiz for Friday, the 11th of August. What's not in a francesina? And if you go to learnaboutportugal.com, which you will be doing to get the link for the hangout, actually, for those of you who are GMP VIPs. If you go to the learnaboutportugal.com quiz question for the day, which is right here, you'll see lots of links. One to a wonderful interview I did with Frank about the francesina, and other pictures of the said, the legendary dish of Portugal. There it is. And there it is opened up. Which is also a little bit of a clue there, so I won't leave that on the screen for too long. But for today, the Learn About Portugal quiz, the 11th of August, the legendary francesina, most popular, probably in Porto in the north, is a beast of a meal thought to be based on the French croque monsieur. But which of these ingredients does not feature in the National Treasure's classic composition? What's in there? Ham, cheese, peri-peri, beer, bacalhau, bread, steak, linguiça, chipolata, tomato sauce. You're thinking to yourself, and you can have chips on the side, as you can see in the picture there. Which of those is not in the francesina? Thing is, all the rest of those 10 ingredients, all 9 of them are actually in it. One of them isn't. Go to learnaboutportugal.com to guess what that might be. So finally then, at 10:14, Mrs. M got terribly distracted. She may join us, of course, for the hangout in just a moment. We'll be popping over there. However, before we do that, let's have a look at Andy's wonderful contributions of events in the Bairrada over the weekend. I think you were telling us before, Andy, about the Jutos e Pontapés gig at Expo Fakik, which is where I think Filomena saw them. Here are your events for this coming weekend, or certainly for the next few days in the Bairrada district, party capital of Portugal, you say, and I think you're absolutely right. And we will come to the last of your comments as well after these in the chat. Let's have a look then. They are loading onto the screen as we speak. and the first of which is this one. It's back, the Festival do Bacalhau. The festival is not only unique, but also a huge event known throughout Portugal for its fantastic food. It's already started and runs until the 13th. Cheers, Andy. All of these on the Gumper map, of course. Find that at goodmorningportugal.com. Traditional suckling pig and bubbly festa in Coria Anadia. Oh, in the lovely park there. And look, Toy is playing. Portuguese singer Toy will be there at that. If you want to see him, fantastic. He's a legend, isn't he? And a real character in Portugal. Quaint village of Uca in the Bairrada, also hosting a get-together. That's from the 10th to the 13th as well. You see, Portugal, you can party in August pretty much every day of the month, and especially so. Look, King Barreiros is here on the 11th tonight. The mighty King in Bustos Bairrada tonight. Isn't it amazing what they have up there in the Bairrada? Senhora da Saúde 2023, the festival of the Fermentelos in Bairrada as well. That is from tonight. I think it starts tonight, goes on to the 16th. We've got DJ Johnny Santos and Capital, Festival of Palhaça as well. Just a couple more then in the Bairrada. Todos a Grelha, cookout and party in Febres. A really good hangout for grown-ups and kids. And he knows where to get all the good grub in the Bairrada district. And no doubt a drop or two of Luís Pato wine as well. A motocross at the Crozodomo, Carvalho Nimira. You can go to the beach after that, of course. The Festival de Folklore, a traditional folk dancing festival at Olhos de Favença. And last couple then, find them on the Gumper map, of course, goodmorningportugal.com, the Passeio de Bicicletas. It's all about the tour at the moment, isn't it? Communal cycle and lunch, if you fancy something a little more leisurely. €10 for breakfast. And I think you take your own bike, but you get a T-shirt for your tenner there as well. Isn't that amazing? Great value. You'll never need another T-shirt again if you go to these events in Portugal. And the running of the donkeys is that very special festa when grown men ride donkeys. This fantastic fun event is back for 23. The highlight of this 4-day festival is the traditional Corrida de Boros, where the public line the streets with bifanas and beers in hand. He writes some beautiful copy for these to cheer the donkeys and their owners as they trot up and down the streets of Angus. Then it's up to the festival square for more fun and music from fantastic bands. This is how they roll in the Bairrada. Find out more at the Gumper map at goodmorningportugal.com. Last couple of comments then at 10:17 this morning. Everyone's been amazing. Thanks, Filomena, says Pam. That's the best advice ever. Speak to Portuguese people. Yes, definitely. If you speak Portuguese to Spanish people or French people, the outcome will be different, I suspect. Thanks for being here, Owen, as well this morning. Pam also saying bon fin de semana. I think she's had a good time this morning. Enjoy your festa over there, the San Bernardo. Bon fin de semana from Pete as well, finally. 4 festas here this weekend, as well as in Alcanes and Zebrash, to name but a few. Whatever you're doing, as Filomena says, speak to Portuguese people and have a fantastic weekend. We will see you on Monday morning with James, of course, with whatever name he's using on Monday for a bit of mindful migration action. Have a great time, and we'll see you then. And if you're a GMP VIP, we'll see you at the Hangout. Find the link in your GMP VIP only section of learnaboutportugal.com. Have a great weekend. Bye for now. Bon fin de semana!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.